The Leafs might have a huge problem they have to fix before playoff time. Could Joseph Woll be making a statement to take over the number one position and be the starter in the playoffs? And the Leafs do enough to win, but just enough to lose to the Carolina Hurricanes once again this season. Welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues, and guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor and help Nick and I out, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's going to be exciting down the stretch because the playoffs are right around the corner. There's less than 15 games left in the season, so it's going to be exciting. And the Leafs have a pretty big problem heading into the playoffs, if you ask me, and that is their defense. The goaltending we'll get to in just a second. I think it's pretty good, not really an issue. Forward group, besides figuring out some line combinations heading down the stretch and maybe some injury stuff, it looks all right to me, but the defense is a major problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And honestly, this lineup tonight was not it. And I will touch on it at the end and my thoughts. But this lineup tonight, I know they're going to experiment and do some things like they're experimenting with sending a goaltender to Carolina early. And Joseph Woll, last night, he was already there to be prepared for this game. And boy, was he ever. He played a fantastic game. But the defense, they just not good. And if you take a look at the game, I mean, got a couple minuses on the board here. A couple guys not playing a great game. And I mean, you can't put too much stock into plus minus either. But I mean, a couple guys had some great games. I mean, Nylander and Matthews looked pretty dangerous. Obviously, Robertson get that nice goal on the assist from Austin Matthews as well. And looking at some time on ice as well. I mean, like a lot of guys. Liljegren had a strong game as well. But, Brody, Lyubushkin barely played. Edmondson not playing and being effective. I mean, the Leafs certainly tonight, especially for the first two periods, looked like a team that played last night, but certainly not the team that played last night. They played a completely different game last night, and maybe it's just confidence. And I would say sometimes it could be confidence in front of a goaltender you feel confident playing in front of. But I mean, Joseph Woll played fantastic tonight. He played unreal tonight. And I mean, there are some positives to pull out of this game, Joseph Woll being one of them. And I mean, another one being that the Leafs did not get shut out since November 20th, 2021. They still haven't been shut out since then. Robertson breaks the ice on that one. The Matthews assist, of course. And obviously not being shut out since 2021. I mean, it was looking bad for a minute there. I thought maybe this could be the game, but not the case. And I think that is... Again, that's something, a good accomplishment, something to be proud of. So that's one positive to pull from the game. But if you want to look at the negatives, they started pretty early. And I like to be, I'm pretty optimistic when it comes to the Leafs. And, I hate being pessimistic about them all the time because it's very exhausting. There are issues with them, but I like to be optimistic. But it started right away. I mean, McCabe with a poor turnover, and then it's McCabe and Brody paired tonight, which we'll talk about Benoit in a second. But again, McCabe and Brody paired, and then brutal for Brody. I mean, another goal against on his first shift in his first game back since being healthy scratched and getting a little bit of a mental rest. Not a great way to come back into the lineup. Like, just horrible. And the Leafs, again, they've been doing well the last couple games. But again, they have an issue starting on time sometimes, and it really puts them in a hole. When you go down 1-0 early to a team like the Carolina Hurricanes, you're going to have a very hard time coming back in the game. And then the fact that, you give them opportunity after opportunity, and they had a penalty shot. Joseph Woll, like I mentioned, coming up big in this game. Joseph Woll had a huge game today. And we've been talking about how Samsonov is stealing the crease from him stuff. I mean, 41 saves today, a .953, had a fantastic game. He did. And he's the only reason it was a 2-1 loss. It could have been much worse. And credit where credit is due, man. That guy, he played a great game today. He looked locked in, and just a couple of mistakes, and it's in the back of your net, and it's 2-1. And that's how tight the Hurricanes play. This is a very good team, and they play very tight, defense. The fact that the Leafs even had as many opportunities and scored as many goals as they did their last meeting, and they still lost, it sucks because the Hurricanes are a very, very good team. They're going to clamp down on you, and that's exactly what they did. The Leafs, all it takes is a couple mistakes. But again, Joseph Woll, like I said, huge game from him, and it's just a couple of bad turnovers, a couple of bad plays, miscues, and that's the game. That's the game against really good teams, and that is the difference heading into the playoffs, right? I didn't think Edmondson was as big as a contributor as he was last night, although I do think he will be big for them in the playoffs, so I'm not too worried about that. I do like the pushback. I like how they are being a little more physical. I like how Liljegren is playing a little bit more physical and almost playing like he's just a little bit pissed off, whereas I don't think he was before. I think that is a big factor as well. But I like the pushback. You know, McCabe gets hit and there's a little bit of a scrum. I don't think we'd seen that in previous years. And then McCabe's giving it to guys and throwing his body around as he does. And I love it. But, you know, need a little bit more of that. And I like that we're seeing more of it because it's obviously the Hurricanes won, like I mentioned. You know, it's a couple mistakes, but I do appreciate the pushback. I think that's going to be important in a playoff series. So that is another positive to pull from the game, most definitely, right? So, you know, a couple positives, but again, a lot of things to be pessimistic about in this one specifically. But again, second half of back-to-back. But anyway, Max Domi has quietly been a great and underrated playmaker for the Leafs this season. The most 5-on-5 assists this season. He's tied for 6th in the entire league with 30. He has been brilliant. He's been as advertised, and I think he's been a great bright spot on the Leafs quietly, because obviously the big four, you know, get a lot of the attention, but Max Domi has quietly been a great addition. I hope he resigns. You know, I've been looking at the comments, right? I totally agree. I think Max Domi, you know, they should get that guy locked up. Hopefully on a pretty reasonable contract, but they should absolutely lock up a guy like that. I think he is crucial to winning, and he knows how to win. He went to the third round last year. He's played with Carolina. He's played on some winning teams, right? So, and just the style of play, his playmaking ability, and the fact that he doesn't shy away from the rough stuff in the right times. I think he's a very good player to have on the team moving forward. So, again, something to look forward to. I think they absolutely should look at re-signing Max Domi. And again, tonight, the lineup decisions. That's what I wanted to bring up, the lineup decisions. This lineup, the first line, I mean, they've been clicking. I have enjoyed them. Max Domi and Matthews have a little bit of chemistry. I think Max Domi is a great playmaker. And, you know, that suits Matthews pretty well. Second line is what it is. McMahon's been hot. Tavares has been finding his game recently as well. Nylander, great season, of course. Nyes, Holmberg, Robertson kind of just put together. Robertson obviously got the goal today. He does have a lot of defensive lapses sometimes. Like, he does make some very puzzling choices in the defensive, not even in the defensive zone, at the line. At the line. I know he's, you know, his style of play even in junior, because of him being a goal scorer and the way the junior game is played, and even in the AHL, to a degree, he likes to hold on to the puck, right? So there are times you'd like to see him chip it out, but, you know, I think it's a mentality of just trying to hold on to the puck a little bit, and sometimes he puts himself in some bad spots, turnovers, stuff like that, so he has some mental lapses, but I do think he can be an important player, and he scored a big goal for them tonight with an opportunity to tie. It obviously didn't get done, but he did give them an opportunity tonight. And then the fourth line is what it is without Ryan Reeves, but the defense, this is where it just gets puzzling for me. Brody's back in, which I'm not even sure Brody should be. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not even sure Brody should be in the playoffs. I think they should go really, you know, heavy on the back end in the playoffs. Get Lyubushkin in there, get Edmondson in there, all the big boys, right? Make sure they're playing. Get Benoit back in the lineup. Why is Benoit? We've been talking about it the last week. I know they're experimenting with stuff, and I'll bring up the lines again. McCabe, they're experimenting with Brody. Riley Lyubushkin's pretty much going to be that top pairing in the playoffs. Edmonton and Liljegren, I have liked that experiment, and I think they're going to keep it going, so that's good. They're still trying to figure out the, you know, two spots in there. What's going to go, you know, it's still up in the air. How's that going to go into the playoffs? But Benoit absolutely has to play. I know they're experimenting, second half of back-to-back, all that stuff. I cannot believe Benoit is taken out again as a healthy scratch. This guy should be playing every game. He plays physical. I mean, he puts his heart out there, man, and you can see it as a fan. Like, the Leafs need more players like that, like just putting his body in the way, smashing bodies. They need more players like that. So the fact that he is scratched is puzzling. I've been on the Benoit train all season long. Nick and I have been on the Benoit train. We will continue to be in the playoffs, and obviously I think he will play in the playoffs. There's not much to not like about him. I mean, he has been fantastic this season, so hopefully he'll slot back into the lineup in, you know, the coming games this week and in the playoffs. But just for him being a healthy scratch, I know they're trying to figure things out, but it's puzzling. I would hope that the lines were figured out by now, or they have a sense or an idea. I'm just not sure with the way Brody's playing right now if he can be an option heading into the playoffs. I'm not sure. If he picks it up, fantastic. He's got to find it, but I don't think he has right now, and you know, hopefully he does, because as a Leafs fan, I mean, he's been great the last couple of years. I just hope he can find it. again. But let me know in the comments what you thought of this loss, what you thought of Joseph Woll and net. He had a fantastic game. And what do you think of the Leafs defense? What pairings would you go with? Like, let us know. What do you think the pairings are, and who have you liked on the blue line so far since the trade deadline? Because obviously I gave my thoughts, but let me know what you think. And Benoit, man, Benoit should be back in the lineup. But that's it for this one, and Nick and I will see you for another video tomorrow.